Greetings and welcome back to Gene Key of the Day. It's such a magical day. Whoa! We have so many friends coming to visit us, from a butterfly to a schmirgly-woo. I really don't know who you are, but I guess you've come as a totem somehow to tell us that today is a special day and time. Okay, take a rest, right? We just have to be ready for anything. I think that's just such good advice that I'm giving myself and you. There's so much cool stuff going on in the stars right now that I just thought, I can't wait. We have to share it. So today is a full moon. Happy full moon, everybody. And it's not just a normal full moon, There's something pretty special about this. So the first thing I would like to show you is that the moon, well, we don't even have a sign for the moon, but the moon, it just moves so fast, it's hard to keep track of. The tape wore out. The moon is actually right here with Mars in the 34th key. Mars is conjunct this full moon. And because we know that a full moon is when the moon and the sun are opposed, if we look over to this opposite side of the 20th gene key, its programming partner, we see that it's conjunct with Venus. So with this full moon, we have the masculine and the feminine archetypes in exact polarity with the sun and the moon. What does this mean? Well, for me, I understand it to be an incredible opportunity, an amplification of the possibility for the integration of polarities within us. Every full moon is an opportunity to integrate the polarity of sun-moon, but add in masculine, feminine, Mars, Venus, and there's so much potential here for bringing harmony and reintegrating these two aspects of ourselves that perhaps have felt a little disparate. So let's look at a couple things here. One, when we have an opposition, like for instance, with the full moon, when there's an opposition, we ask ourselves, well, what was the new moon? Where was the sun moon when they were conjunct? Like we had a Taurus new moon. And that energy is what was seeded for when the moon comes all the way around and is now opposite the sun, that same energy is kind of reaching some kind of resolution or culmination in some way. We can do the same thing with planets. So I asked, when was the last time that Mars and Venus were actually conjunct and together? When was their new moon? And that was back in November of 2015. I think it was November 2nd. And they happened to be conjunct over here in Virgo in the 6th key. So you can't really see it in the video, but it's this one right here. So for those of you who know what 6 is, the seed intention of what is now coming to a culmination was the 6th gene key in the ring of alchemy, from the shadow of conflict, literally the battle of the sexes, where the masculine and the feminine are at war and don't trust each other, to the gift of diplomacy, the balancing of the polarities, brilliant, and all the way to peace. So that adds a layer to our contemplation of how is the 6th gene key of bringing back a balance, whether we acknowledge it to be the masculine or the feminine, or the inner and the outer, or whatever polarities, hot, cold, whatever, in your body, in your being, in your experience. How is that now being asked to come to a resolution, come to a harmony, and reach a zenith of its insight for you? I personally had a major breakthrough this morning with my inner beloved coming home in a way that I have really longed for. So celebration on that level. It's really powerful. And something that's really interesting that I'm actually just realizing. So I might even go run and grab the ephemeris. Here, hold on one second. I'll be back. Okay. You need to hold court with these guys. I don't know how to make it stay, but here. I wanted to see what key was the new moon in last, because it was in Taurus. And interestingly enough, its culminating full moon has actually passed into Gemini. The sun just moved into Gemini from Taurus. So in some sense, there's like this movement from the new moon was this fixed, rooted place of Taurus. And now the full moon is in this mutable, fluid, and moving place. So I don't know. That's just coming to mind. Like, what does that mean? I'm trying to remember. Okay, the new moon was in the second gene key. So now the number 2 is coming to some kind of culmination. So just consider that for yourself. What is this new moon in 20 and 34 bringing into your clarity? So strength of inner emotions, illumination of self-assurance. And what do those aspects have to do with the second gene key, that full yin receptive? Maybe there's answers there for you. And you know, something that's interesting as well, Mercury right now is in the second gene key, and it is still retrograde today, but it's going to be stationing direct tomorrow, May 22nd. So that's something interesting. Mercury is now going direct and will be in the second gene key for a little bit longer because it is so slow right now, that it's going direct and coming back into forward motion in the gene key that our new moon was in. So some kind of, maybe we're here to receive some divine clarity. If anyone has any insights, I would love to hear. Of course, the 2, dislocation to orientation, finding our home, and unity, the full receptive yin. Okay, so that was the full moon and the major Mars-Venus excitement. Not to mention, I just have to say, Mars is retrograde. So that's a whole other thing too that we aren't necessarily going to go into, but if you want to look deeper in, Mars is retrograding back into Scorpio. So have fun, everybody. Let's look more at Jupiter. So last week we talked about in preparation for the Pearl, Jupiter is coming into this grand Earth trine with Mercury and with Pluto, and it's conjunct with the North Node. This is a major aspect. We talked about some of the beneficial qualities of that and how there's so much momentum and possibility for transformation on very real and large levels. If you want to know more, look at that video, but also just touching on Pluto in the 54, I just wanted to highlight again that Pluto transforming 54, our consciousness around money, and everyone going into the Pearl, highlighting how we can really remake our economic system. Now, Jupiter is really the star of the show right now because, well, it just is. The reason why. We always love Jupiter. Jupiter's so fun. Jupiter is not just in that grand Earth trine right now. That's going to be getting stronger and stronger towards the Pearl and during the Pearl sequence. But it is in a very direct opposition to Neptune here in the 63rd. So Jupiter in the 64th and Neptune opposed in the 63rd. This is forming an exact T-square to Saturn in Sagittarius. So there's a big T-square in the sky right now that is some of these slower moving planets, this is a very big and collective transit that we're all having right now. Let's take a look at this, because I feel like there's some clues here for entering even deeper into the contemplation of the Pearl sequence and what's coming online right now with this energy, because Jupiter is the planet of the Pearl. If we remember, our culture and our Pearl sphere in the Pearl sequence is represented by Jupiter. So there's a really strong correlation here. So Jupiter opposed Neptune. This is going to bring about a pressure, expanded energy around our visions, our dreams, and our ideals. So there may be this really like lofty, very like wanting to like go into the visionary realm and see our visions through and go like into this place of meeting our destiny and having the faith to ride it out and see it through, and excitement about it. And Neptune's feeding all of this, like, you know, these insights and visions to the dream realm of just, you know, we're already there, we're one with it, and all of that. This is cool. Like, they're working together in their polarity, and they have some things to kind of like integrate with each other, with Jupiter being more in the Virgo kind of, I want to attend to the details. I want to know how we can make it happen. But it's in this, it's sort of expanding and putting an emphasis on our ideals. And it's squaring off to this Saturn point, which we kind of know is like, got this, like, okay, we got to make this real, people. This, get it down on the ground. And sometimes the container and the devotion necessary that Saturn kind of calls us on is uncomfortable, but especially when it squares. So this is kind of bringing about the sense that there might be a tug of war between our hopes and ideals and our dreams and how to make them real. The Pearl sequence is definitely a visionary sequence. It's talking about the possibility of our human society coming to its next evolution. So there is a lot of this Jupiter-Neptune visionary realm coming in. But we're gonna need to really settle in to this Saturn energy and not fight with it, not because there might be voices in our head saying it's not possible, or what's gonna, like, how is this gonna happen? Oh, we have so much work to do. It might feel heavy in that sense, but rather we wanna focus on how, well, Saturn, it's in the 5th gene key. It's calling us to patience. We need to be patient right now with our dreams and our ideals, and balance the responsibility of what it's going to take to actually bring this to fruition. So focus on Saturn's steady step and really allow that when the insight and the vision and the beauty comes, let it take you. But don't lose touch with the reality, and don't let the reality seem just so downtrodden and hard and difficult and far off. We're having to find a balance here. And when we integrate all these energies, there's, again, squares are such potential for growth. There's so much potential in the stars right now. And it's worth noting that this little drama between Neptune, Jupiter, and Saturn is actually aligned to Richard Rudd's Golden Path. That was an interesting discovery. Jupiter is on his sun. It's his life's work. And Neptune is on his evolution. And Saturn is on his purpose. So this somehow is synchronized into the transmission, and that something's coming through, and we need to just sit and be patient and hold ground and let the inspiration come and really walk through this passageway. So that was a little download. I'm sure there was a lot there. And everybody who's going to the Pearl, have an amazing journey at Findhorn. You're so lucky. We're so happy that you guys are all doing it for us, those of us who can't go. And maybe bring back a souvenir or something that Bisha could play with. I don't know, maybe. This isn't one of Bija's toys. This is actually a being who just came through for Jinkia today. So enjoy the mystery and the magic and the expanded imagination and the visionary inquiry of our state right now. Much love and blessings.